In the next 28 minutes, I'm going to show you how to create this realistic earth using Blender and Octane Render. Sit down, relax, and enjoy. Okay, so here we are inside Blender Octane Edition 4.5. So before starting, I want you to copy my render settings here. I'm using the path tracing kernel, 200 max samples, 50 max previous samples, and also the filter size on 1 just to have sharper results. Another key value is the GI clamp on 10. Also, the adaptive sampling turnet on with a noise threshold of 0.02 and 50 minimum samples. So we'll be working with these render settings. I'm gonna rename this collection. I'm gonna call this planet. And let's create a cube and let's switch to edit mode and subdivide this by 70. And okay, this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna press A to select all the polygons and press F3 and type here to sphere and move your mouse to the right side and we'll convert this cube to a sphere. The reason behind doing this in this way is because if we create a normal sphere like this, when we subdivide this, we will create like some kind of weird projections in this part of the sphere. So it is better to do it in this way with this topology. Okay, so let's continue. I'm going to create a new material called Earth. I'm going to create a collection, call it camera and light. And let's add a camera and turn this off for now. And let's add the directional light and move this to the side and point this toward our sphere. So one important thing to mention is that all of this tutorial will depend, the result will depend a lot on the sphere size. So in this case, all the settings that I worked before recording will work with a scale of 5. So yes, a scale of 5. And this is because Octane Render is a biased render engine. So this means that it calculates the light bounces realistically. So if you try to make this sphere massive, you will screw all the settings that we will be working in, especially in the clouds and atmosphere material settings. So I'm going to continue so you can see what I mean. I'm gonna move the light here. Awesome. And I'm gonna turn off my texture environment so we can stay only with the directional light. And let's work on this cube. I'm going to rename this to Earth. And great. I'm gonna go to my file browser. And okay, I'm gonna leave you with all these project files, the textures, and the final blend file on our Patreon to download, so you can have everything set up by me, ready to render. Okay, I'm gonna go here and right click and shade smooth just to smooth the surface, and I'm gonna add my earth albedo texture. So if I Control Shift click on the texture output, you will see that we got some kind of like a cube projection. So we can fix this really easy. Pressing Shift click here and historical projection. Let's click here and add that 3D transform. And let's rotate the texture to 90 degrees. Okay, so we will use these couple of nodes to control the texture projection. And okay, this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna plug this on the albedo. Amazing. And I'm gonna add here a color correction node just to give this a more realistic tint. So maybe reduce the exposure since the snow parts are too strong. And I'm going to reduce also the gamma just to bring back some blue in the ocean. Something like this maybe. And something that I forgot to mention is that we're working on the ACES tone mapping, so keep this in mind. Okay, so let's continue. I'm gonna leave you also with this air topo that will work for the VAMP map, and also I'm gonna leave you with the same texture but in half resolution, just in case you can handle 21K resolution texture, okay? So I'm gonna Control Shift click. Let's connect these to the projection just to fix the projection. Awesome. And I'm going to disconnect this here so we can see how the bump works. So I'm going to connect this to the bump. Awesome. And you can see here that we got these pretty awesome details here. Maybe we can bring this up a bit, something like maybe 0.003. And okay, we will tweak this later when we got the clouds and the atmosphere layer. So I'm gonna leave this for now like this. I'm gonna also import the earth water mask. This texture will give us, let me connect this here. This texture will give us the speculars, but only on the ocean parts. So let's connect this to the specular. So you can see here the bright part of the earth. And okay, I'm going to plug this on the albedo to see how it looks, everything combined. Okay, this is looking pretty good. So right now I'm going to add a gradient map here just to bring down a bit the specular. So let's bring it down to something like this. So, okay, this will work pretty well. And okay, now I'm going to add the earth illumination. I'm going to connect the spherical projection here to the projection input. And this texture will give us the city emission map. So let's Control Shift click here, Shift click on the emission, texture emission, and connect this to the texture. And you will see that we already got our city lights. However, we got a problem, and the problem is that we want only the texture emission on the part of the air that is not facing the sun. So we're going to do this in a pretty simple way. I'm going to add a fall off map and make sure to switch this to normal versus vector 180 degrees, and I'm going to Control Shift click here so you can see what's going on here. So my idea is that in the white part we won't have lights, and in the dark part we will have lights of the city emissions. But we got a problem. This needs to be facing the sunlight rotation. So what we were going to do here on our Octane directional light, I'm going to go here to the constraint. I'm going to add a track 2 and select our Earth. Okay. So you can see that the sunlight is now pointing towards the planet. And I'm going to return to my planet here. And I'm going to add an object data and connect the rotation to the fall off direction. And right here on the object, I'm going to pick my Octane directional light. Okay. So as you can see, this will react to the light rotation, which is great. Okay, so let's work on the emission map. Okay, so I'm gonna add here cycles mix color node draper, and I'm gonna plug this on the A slot and this one on the B, and let's move this here and bring the factor up to 1 and switch this to multiply. So right now you will see that we got lights on the dark part of the planet, and we don't have any lights here. And the good thing is that if I rotate the sphere, you will see that how this reacts. Actually, let me turn on the surface brightness and watch this. So this is looking pretty good. Now I'm gonna add a gradient map here just to work a bit on the fall off of this transition from day to night on the city's lights. So let me see. I'm gonna move this here. Maybe something like this. I'm gonna make this bigger. I'm gonna move this here and maybe do it in this way. Let's unplug the albedo so we can see clearly what we're doing. And yeah, I think this is working pretty well. Maybe we can bring some lights to the light side. So, you know, people sometimes turns the light on before night. So maybe we can leave it like this. And okay, this is looking pretty good. Let's reconnect our albedo here. And in the roughness, let's change the specular model to GGX and the roughness to 0.5 and the anisotropy to 0.5 just to mimic the light dispersion on the ocean. And okay, if you see some weird seams here, don't panic because this won't be seen once we add the atmosphere layer, which is actually the part that we will going to do right now. So I'm gonna duplicate the Earth sphere. I'm gonna shift D. I'm gonna change the name of this to atmosphere. And let's change the scale to something like 5.025. Awesome. Okay, so now we want to convert this atmosphere to a volume. And we're going to go here to the data. And on the, I think, mesh volume, yes. Let's turn on the enable mesh volume and turn the voxel size to something like 0.004, I think should be fine. And leave the border thickness inside and outside on 3 and 3. So I'm going to go here and add a volume medium and connect this to the surface. And okay, I'm going to reduce the density to something like 5 and turn up the volume steps, something like 1000. And on the absorption, I'm gonna make the absorption something like orange and the scattering to blue. I stopped the recording one moment because I wanted to do some research of what color should have the absorption and the scattering, and I found these hex values on internet, so you can just copy and paste this on your material. Okay, so I'm gonna return to the render view. And okay, as you can see, we got here a pretty dense sphere. So I'm gonna put this density to something like 0.5 and turn on the Earth. And let's return this to 5 actually. And okay, this is looking pretty good. Maybe let's add more density here. Something like this. And okay, on the atmosphere wall, I'm gonna change the scale actually to something like 5.05. And I'm going to reduce this to 5 to the half. And okay, this is looking pretty good. And I'm going to return to the Earth, and actually I'm bringing down the emission strength to something like 10 maybe, or turn off the surface brightness and put this on 100 maybe. And okay, actually let's move this here. And okay, now let's bring this to 15. And okay, this is looking better. Okay, so now let's add our cloud texture. So I'm gonna take this atmosphere, Shift D to duplicate, and I'm gonna call this clouds, I'm sorry. And bring the scale down to something like 5.025 and turn the atmosphere off. I'm going to delete this atmosphere material and let's create a new one called clouds. And I'm going to add here the standard volume medium and connect this to the surface. I'm actually calling these clouds volumetrics. So I'm gonna go here to the data and to the mesh volume and make sure you will bring this down to something like 0.002 just to have the maximum possible quality on the cloud volumetrics. And I'm going to import my cloud texture. And for now, I'm going to turn off this just to do the right projection here. And right here, I'm going to return the rotation to 0. Okay. And the clouds. Okay. And let's return to the render settings. I'm going to shift click on projection, historical projection. Click here. And I'm going to plug this on the transparency. And finally, I'm going to turn on the enable mesh volume and let's wait this to update. And okay, if you see here, you will see that we got some pretty nice clouds. So let's do some change here to make this render faster. First of all, let's change the border thickness inside and outside to 1. And let's wait this to update. Okay, and let's increase the volume shadow step to something like 1000 also. And okay, this is looking pretty good. And the great part is that it's rendering faster. I'm gonna add a gradient map here. And let's flip the color ramp and bring this down. Something like this maybe. And okay, as you can see, we got some pretty cool volumetrics here on the lights, on the clouds. Maybe move this here. And okay, this is looking pretty good. So now I'm going to unplug this transparency way to show you something. So if we go here to the volume, I actually can't tell if you can see this on your screen, but you will see that we are having like some kind of like bending on the volume, something like this and this. Not sure if you can see it on your screen. Maybe if I zoom in, you will see what I'm talking about. So actually, yes, these ugly lines. So if we want to fix this, we'll have to do some cheap tricks to get rid of this bending. I'm going to add here a node called, actually, let's move this down. I'm going to add here the cinema for the noise. And let's change these to gaseous. And let's add here a projection. So on UV transform, and click on absolute and click on use for the noise, and bring the scale down to something like 0.3. And let's turn off for now the enable mesh volume just to see how this looks. And okay, let's bring up the octaves and this. And okay, this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna add also a cycles mix color node. I'm gonna put this here, and I'm going to actually duplicate this. And let's change these to something like maybe turbulence. And okay, and connect this here. And actually, let's bring the scale down to something like 0.1. Okay, just to have more details here. Okay, and let's keep the factor on 0.5. And okay. Okay, so I'm gonna add a range node, but I'm going to explain how to do this. I actually don't know if this is some kind of bug or failure on my Octane version, but I tried adding the range node and connecting this to this, but as you can see, we got red lines here, which means that this won't work. So I found a fix to this problem, and it was, I'm gonna shift click here on sample position displacement, and I'm gonna add a range node, which is completely different from the other. You see texture out, float out, and etc. And disconnect this from this and connect this here. And connect this to the value. And put the output maximum on 15 and the output minimum on 1. And let's see how this looks. And okay, and let's reconnect the gradient to the transparency weight. And let's check. And okay, this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna make this a bit wide, because actually if we move this completely to the white, we will make the volume completely transparent. But if you make it black, there's a danger that we got volume on the dark areas. So I'm gonna just make this like a dark gray. And okay, this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna make the scatter color white, which is awesome. And let's connect the atmosphere. Let's turn on the atmosphere and let's see how this looks. Okay, so this is the final result of the tutorial using the Earth and the volumetric cloud and volumetric atmosphere. So right now I'm seeing that the render times are a bit um, slow for this. So maybe this will work for you if you are going for still renders or just one frame. But if you are going for animations, or if you want to render some shots or like a spaceship or something similar, I think we should take another approach when creating the clouds if we want to save some render times. Perhaps we can play with the voxel size, but I actually found another way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this cloud, Shift D. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to call this clouds fake. I'm going to turn off the enable mesh volume, and I'm going to create a material called cloud fake. And I'm going to bring here my cloud texture, projection, and spherical projection. and connect these to the opacity. And I'm gonna make this DGX, put the roughness at maximum, and the W also at maximum, so we have white clouds. And let's connect this to the bump and put this on 0.003. And I think this is the cheapest way to have the cheaper way of the volumetric cloud. And maybe we can add also maybe a transmission. We can make this diffuse and add here grayscale color and put this on 1. And maybe bring the color down and bring the bump to something like 0.002. And let's bring back our atmosphere. And in this way, I think we can have a faster render for our clouds, just in case you're searching a better optimized version, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and if you have any comment or question, I will be happy to help you. And we will see you in the next time.